welcome to Diary of a Queen. I'm your host, Danielle Martin. I am joined today by Ashlynn Roth from Greensboro, North Carolina. Ashlynn, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Danielle?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much for being on the show.
And thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I have known Ashlynn for a few years. We won't say how long.
Decades?
Literally decades is accurate,
I
right?
know.
And
That's
we
crazy.
It is. And we've known each other for a while. And, a lot of people complain about social media, but there's something about social media that I absolutely love. And that's being able to watch my friends grow their families, grow in relationships, grow in their jobs. And I've gotten to watch you over the last decade or so evolve into this amazing person, and it's been such a joy to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. Hopefully, I'm inspiring others and helping others through social media. I used to not like social media that much, but I'm loving it these days. And I think it does help a lot of people connect and be able to share things with each other.
I would have to agree. And what I love about this show is talking to people that are game changers, right? So for me, you're a game changer. This
Oh,
is
thank you.
somebody that was really involved in the corporate world. Life was all about busy, 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 making the next deal, doing the next thing. And then life changed.
Yes.
So I want you to talk a little bit about where you're at in your life, how that change came to be, and why you thought that an evolution of Ashlynn needed to even happen.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It's nothing that I ever really thought about. It kind of just, I think it was God smacking me in the face and saying, Ashlyn, you need to slow down and you need to take time with your family and do things that you love and concentrate on you. So, for about 18 years, I was in corporate America, started as a news reporter, got out of that because I found it was super negative on the local news, anyways. I would go out and report on stories, and it would just be, about what was happening negative in the area. And it just wasn't me because most people that know me know that I am smiling. I like to lift people up. I like to hug people, and I like to make a positive impact and change, even in my small community. So it was something that I knew in my heart that I didn't want to do for a long time. Even though I love the hustle bustle, I loved meeting people, and I loved writing the stories, right? So got into sales, which I said I would never do because my father was in sales and I saw how stressful it was our entire life growing up when I was little. He was awesome. He was like, I think it was top dog for 12 years in a row. Amazing. But I just said I would never do it. I'm just like my dad. Our personalities are very similar. And everybody said, Ashlyn, you're going to be in sales. And I was like, nope. And then I got into sales naturally. So it was just kind of in my blood, right? So did software sales for almost 18 years. And my last most recent corporate job was just this year. I just quit back in March, but I had purchased a farm, which is old family land of ours, back in September. So it is actually the 1 year anniversary right now, Danielle. So this is awesome that we're talking since we purchased old family land and started rebuilding a farm. But quit my corporate job. So this is kind of a long story. Feel free to jump in and cut me off, Danielle. But I think it's kind of important to know why I'm doing what I'm doing and, why I made the change. So about 3 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, I woke up one morning and literally I was hustle bustle doing my sales thing. At the time we were all kind of, confined to our houses, but I was working from home still in sales and software sales, and just woke up one morning like always, and I felt like I was literally going to pass out, and I felt like something was tugging on me. It was the weirdest feeling I think I've ever felt. Well, from that moment on, it did not go away, and so it lasted for 2.5 years. I went to all kinds of doctors, all kinds of specialists, and I had to drive myself there, which in the car, I felt like I was flipping over. I mean, it was awful. And I remember when this first happened also, I was on my computer one day just trying to write an email to a customer, and it literally took me 5 hours to type out one sentence. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I've had a stroke. I have a brain tumor. Like, what is going on? And doctors could not figure it out. I had MRIs. I had all kinds of vestibular testing done to my eyes, my ears, all these things that made me feel like I was going to throw up. And literally, I mean, it was a nightmare because I had two little kids still in diapers. Actually, one wasn't in diapers, the other one was. But, you're wanting to pick them up and hold them. But I felt like this, like I was rocking on a boat, right? And like the floor was dipping. Sounds so crazy. But eventually, I went to this doctor in Raleigh, and he said, just about an hour and a half from where we live, I had to drive myself there. It was a nightmare. And he said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you have. Good luck. Here's some eye exercises. And that's all I can say. And he said, I think you're just anxious. And I said, anxious about what? I mean, we all have a little bit of anxiety, I believe, right? We get stressed out, the hustle and bustle of life. But yeah, anyway, started doing my own research and really becoming my own advocate. And through social media, I found a girl that had the exact same symptoms as I did. And her name is the Dizzy Cook. She's amazing. I reached out to her and said, do you get these same things? And she said, yes. She said, it took me a while to get a diagnosis. And she started her social media because of what she got diagnosed with as well. So reached out to her doctor and I begged and pleaded with him and said, he was in Texas. I'm in North Carolina. I said, can you please see me? I cannot get on a plane right now. I feel like I'm going to throw up all the time, but I was still working my corporate job. Like it was super stressful. I had quotas every month. And I said, I can't drive. Please just get on Zoom with me and meet with me. I'll do anything. I was desperate. I mean, I was trying everything in the world that I could do. And he said, okay, send me your MRI results, send me your test. So I did. And in the first 5 minutes with him, and he actually had me do some testing as well, he had me diagnosed with two chronic illnesses, vestibular migraines and MDDS, which is mal-del disembarkment syndrome. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise before, Danielle, and if you get off, you kind of feel like you're still on that cruise. Have you ever felt that before?
Sure.
Yeah. So I felt that nonstop for 2.5 years. It didn't go away. But he immediately diagnosed me. He said, Ashlynn, there's no cure for this, for these two illnesses, but there are treatments more for vestibular migraines. So we're going to try and we're going to help you. And I just started busting out in tears because I was like, I need help. I mean, it was awful. I was in a nightmare. And look, these things can't kill you, right? But they can drive you insane. So, and my bosses at work actually had no idea that this was going on. I kept it inside, right? Because we're afraid that we're going to get judged in that corporate setting and we're going to lose our jobs or something like that. So I kept it inside. And then I got on some medication and I eventually told my boss at the time, and thank the Lord I did, because he said, Ashlynn, I have the exact same thing. And I went, oh my gosh, like, is this God talking to me? Right? Like, this is crazy,
Wow.
insane. So we started helping each other. Well, I got on medication. And then I got promoted to another company that asked me to come work for them as vice president of business development for a company out of Indiana. And I was starting to travel a lot. I got back on a plane. I was doing all those things because I was starting to get better on this medication and all the other things that I was doing. But I wasn't 100%. So after about 8 months, I said, I just can't do it anymore. And we had the farm going last September. We were building it from the ground up. And I looked at my husband one day and I said, is this success feeling terrible all the time? Is it success having people yell at you all the time and feeling this way, being away from my family and making those sacrifices, but yet those companies don't appreciate it, right? But I'm putting myself through a mental turmoil and all kinds of health issues for people that really don't care. And I said, there's got to be more to life than this, because this isn't it. Oh, and let me remind you, I lost my mother 6 years ago to cancer, and she worked till the day she could die. They had to pick her up off the floor in her office. So I said, there's got to be more to life than this. So we talked and I made an exit plan. I quit back in March. 3 months after I quit, I came off of my medication fully and don't take it anymore. I have calmed my mind down. I'm a lot more less stressed. Yes, stress happens on the farm every day and it's super, super hard, but I'm so passionate about it. And I've been able to really, I think, just slow down a little bit, even though the farm is really hard work. I don't want people to think it's not, but it's really hard. But I've been able to really just take in things, nature, and really listen to what God is telling me to do. And Danielle, I know you said like you felt in your heart Like, you were like, I don't even know who's going to be on the show when you started it, right? But you did it and you just started sketching it out one night. And that is the exact same thing. It's the weirdest, most wonderful thing that's ever happened. And I know that I'm in the right place because things come to me and I know it's God speaking to me. And it just has all fallen into place. Like, it's insane.
So I'm presuming you're a music lover with the name of the farm, Tupelo Honey.
Yeah. So, and I'll give you a little explanation on that too. So, my ancestors, it was my great grandfather's children. So, like my great aunts and uncles, and my grandfather, they all came up with the name of a private road that the farm is on. It's called Tupelo. And so that is actually where it stemmed from because I wanted to, Tupelo Honey Farms is the name of our farm, and I wanted to really honor them because they grew up farming. So I'm a fourth generation farmer on this land. That's really where I came from the name. But I do love that song, Tupelo Honey. Oh my gosh. When we open it to the public, I actually want to have somebody come out and sing that song because I'm obsessed with it too.
So, I mean, and by the way, what happens on the show happens on the show. All of a sudden, I'm getting over being sick, and like all of a sudden, I'm feeling like,
I know. My voice just did that too.
but things happen. I'm fascinated, absolutely fascinated about when people have a enormous life change, right? It feels like what you're doing, it's it's impossible to start. You just know in your mind it's impossible to start. I have to stick with what I'm doing. That taking that next step isn't a step, it's a cliff.
Yeah.
How do I push forward? How do I move forward? And you know, success should not have a price that is so expensive that it costs you your health or that it costs you a lack of quality of
Yeah.
life. And so I'm always so interested when people take these huge life leaps because I know, even me, I'm a chicken, right? Change is hard.
It
It's
is.
hard for anybody. It's hard for even the people that are the most confident. And sometimes it's hard for people that you would never even expect,
Yep.
especially women. We love to wear masks. We love to hide behind them. We love, we're typically the caregivers, right? So we want to make sure that what we're doing and what we're putting out into the world is everything's okay, nothing to look at here, right? Everybody's good. And we just kind of move on, right? We just kind of
Yep.
move on with
That is so
life.
true.
And then 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by. And the more and more that you wait, the harder and harder and bigger that cliff
Mm-hmm.
comes and becomes. So if you were to do it all again, right?
Yeah.
No regrets. No regrets because you
Right.
wouldn't be where you are now without the steps that you took in order to get there. But if
Correct.
you could do it all again, would you go down the path of the corporate world?
It's interesting because I think that I toggle like with that in my head, kind of back and forth, or wrestle. Yeah, wrestle, not Russell, wrestle around with it a little bit because I felt like that kind of defined me, who I was, right? Like, oh my gosh, Ashlynn's this, bad A corporate person. She's worked up to VP of business development. Like, and I worked really darn hard to get there. I mean, there were bosses that I had that told me, you're a woman. People aren't going to believe you. Take a piece of paper with you with the facts because that's just how it is in this world. I mean, really, it's just ridiculous. But I think that corporate America really made me have some of the tools that maybe I wouldn't have had, right? I mean, I hustle. I'm crazy. And people know that, my bosses that have ever worked with me, they know if Ashlynn says she's going to make it happen, she's going to make it happen. She's going to get it done. And I think it really has built and shaped me into the person that I am. Now, There were some crazy days, Danielle, when I was pregnant on planes, pumping on planes, flying out at 3 a.m., returning at 3 a.m. just to be beside my baby at night with all my milk. I mean, that was crazy. So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question. Um, I think things like when my mother passed away, I really started to look at life a little bit differently because I saw how hard she worked and we literally had to pick her up off the ground in her office. I mean, and I was just like, it's just not worth it, right? As you get older, I think things change and your priorities change. Maybe when I was younger and I had, more free quality time of to myself, I think it didn't matter as much, but I have a family. I want to be around my kids. I want to be around my husband. I want to be at their school doing things. And so, my priorities have really changed. But to the answer to your question, I don't know, Danielle. I mean, it's interesting because I mean, it helped me get where I am today, right? But at the same time, I am so passionate about what I'm doing now. And people know I'm a passionate person. Like, I really have to believe in something to sell it, one, like I used to do, or do what I'm doing now, which is farming. So I don't know. That's an interesting question. I just don't have a concrete answer for you.
So when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're now pondering this question, I want you to send me a quick text and tell me and tell me what the answer is.
Yeah.
So I'm a child of a two-time Vietnam vet. My dad is getting ready to be 80 years old, fought in
Oh,
Vietnam
thank you for
two
his service,
wars.
by the way.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And he's an orphan. He lost both of his parents before he was 2 years old. So
Oh,
he's lived this crazy and miraculous life. And I
yeah.
love listening to what he says. There's really a lot of value in listening to people that have lived the life, right?
Yeah.
And he'll always tell me, I don't have any regrets in life. I'm
Yeah.
happy with the choices that I made. But if I were to say I did have any one regret, is that I valued work over family at a pivotal time when you were younger.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking of my corporate career and how different my life is now. When I first met my husband and we were first married, we were both in the corporate world. I
Yeah.
traveled a lot. Most weekends I was gone. And I remember one day I was in the shower. It was morning. I was getting ready to fly out that day. I was in the shower and had a cup of coffee in the shower. And I'm just trying to
I'm not those
relax,
crazy things.
right?
Sorry,
And I'm
but we
just
did.
trying to
Yeah.
relax. And the door opens, and my husband's like, okay. And he's going down a laundry list of all the things that we need to do in the upcoming weekend. And I remember I just opened up the curtain and I was like, shit, this is, I need this time. I need this 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, in this shower with my cup of coffee all by myself. And he said, well, when would you like me to talk to you then? You're not ever here. And it was then that I was like, what am I doing? What am I living for? If I want to live a life that's on purpose and I want to live a purpose driven life, is my purpose to work for this corporation? Now, anybody that's watching, and I'm sure Ashlynn will agree, neither one of us are putting down the corporate world.
No. Yeah.
It may not be something that worked for us, but it may be something that somebody else absolutely loves. I think the point of the conversation that we're having, and a point that I'm hoping comes across to the viewers, is if you are not living life on purpose, if your soul is not set on fire by what you're doing, redirect. Think
Absolutely.
about what you can do to be in a place where you are connected, mind, body, spirit, soul, everything is in harmony. And, that's difficult, right? Because if the thing that you love and the thing that you want to do, I mean, it's super easy to say, oh, I'm going to quit my corporate job and I'm going to go and I'm going to run a farm.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like, it sounds like a pipe dream, but I hope that anybody is watching, they know that if it's something that you truly want, truly, and it's your why, it's going to drive you. Passion takes you a really long way.
Absolutely.
I've always fully been of the belief that God gives us all the tools that we need. Now, he doesn't, he gives us the ability to be able to use those tools, but he doesn't force us to use them, right? It's
Right.
up to us to use the tools
Yep.
that we're given in order to live this, wonderful, amazing life. And of course, right now I'm making it sound like pie in the sky, just like you said. Every day on the farm is not dancing with chickens. We were talking about that earlier. I love to
Yeah.
watch the videos of Ashlynn and her kiddos. They have these chickens and they dance with their chickens, and it tickles me and I love it. Every day is not dancing with chickens, right?
Mm-mm.
There are
No.
days that it's hard. I work in construction. I put up a video, I think last week on social media because somebody had said to me, well, I bet you never actually do the work. I do the work, right?
People say that to me.
Yeah,
Same thing. Like,
I,
seriously?
I do the work, but the great thing about having a show like this, if there's a Danielle that's doing the work and there's an Ashlynn that's doing the work, then there's a Jennifer and a Susan and a Sarah and anybody else that's doing the work. And the more and more that we talk about it and show diversity in being, diversity in life, that you
Yep.
can be all these things and you can do all these things, it just perpetuates this community of womanhood it's so incredible, and it's such an opportunity to be able to uplift other people,
Yes.
especially other women.
Well, and I love when you say empowered women empower women. Like, that is such a true thing. And I wish that there were more women that would empower other women, because we should be lifting each other up, right? I mean, it's crazy. I have lost friends over becoming a farmer. I've had friends talk behind my back and say, you know, Ashlynn just goes and does these cute videos in her clothes, but she's not really doing the work out there. I mean, I think you see me, Danielle. I go out with no makeup on. I'm like sweating. I look like I'm in horrible outfit. I mean, but I don't care, because what I'm trying to do on my social media page is I want others to know that they can start something too. I had no idea what I was doing, right? And farming, you just got to jump in, right? And just start it. And then you have the tools. God will give you the tools. And you learn. You're going to fail. And I always say fail fast, just run really hard. And there's many times that I've failed out on the farm, and I post my failures and I talk about it because I want people to know that I'm not this like, oh my gosh, she knows everything. I don't. I just want to build a community, share with others, make the world a better place, and impact the community in my small community that I can. And hopefully others will do the same. So it's just crazy to say, I'm just sitting here thinking about people saying we're not doing the work. Like, that's really sad. Why can't we just uplift each other, be each other's cheerleaders, and be like, yeah, go Danielle. It's freaking awesome that you're, in construction. It's just crazy to me.
And if I may, fail to me is probably one of the ugliest F words.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in failing. I've been asked that a time or two in a pageant interview, or, tell me a time when you failed. And it
Oh,
is
yes.
completely sincere when I say, I don't think I ever have failed, because failed sounds definitive, done, ending,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I don't fail, I learn. And I've even heard people say, well, you fail forward. No, I don't even believe in that. I really just look at things. And when that happened for me, that was probably more heading towards my late 40s, that mindset and that shift happened for me, because I'm hard on myself, right? We're type A
Yeah.
people, right? I,
Yes.
I want to do better, be better. I don't care what it is that I'm doing. Construction. I'm a mom. I'm on the PTA. I don't care what it is. I want to be the best at it, right? And
Yes.
I'm going to be the best minivan driver there ever was.
Like,
But when I put that pressure on myself, and I think we all tend to do this, there when you want to do your best at something, you think of it in black and white terms as of winning or losing, or
yeah,
progressing or failing. And I don't prescribe to that anymore. I just
I
don't.
love that.
I really look at things as if I'm learning something. I didn't get it right, didn't fail, because I can still do it again.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm just learning. Does that make sense?
Yes, we're always in a journey, right? Learning how to
Right.
get better and moving forward. So I totally agree with that. And I think I was like you in my younger years where I thought, oh my gosh, it's black and white. It's either you win or you lose, right? But I don't believe in that anymore. I love what you said, and I totally am right there with you 100%.
So, you know, every show that every show that I have done, and I've talked to people from all over the world at this point, I I take something away. I always take something away. People say, well, why do you do this show? I love doing it because in my heart, I truly believe that somebody is going to watch these shows and take something away. But selfishly, I do the same. So it's always been important to me at the end of the show to ask the guest if they could give one piece of advice, whatever that piece of advice be, about life, about marriage, about love, about kids, whatever that piece of advice is. If there's something that you could share with the people that are watching, what would your one piece of advice be?
I know immediately, and I know immediately since I started farming and corporate, when I switched from corporate to farming, it's be you. And I know it sounds cheesy, but be authentically you. And what I mean by that is people look at me and say, you're not a farmer. I love to get dressed up. I love fashion, right? But that doesn't mean that I can't get dirty and that I can't work hard, use my hands, my legs, whatever. I can do all things that I want to do. So be you and be authentically you and run hard, right? Like if I want to go out there with makeup on one day and I want my hair to look amazing and whatever it is, I can do that. And if I want to wear a designer belt, I can do that while I'm farming. Now, I haven't done that, but if I want to, I can. And anybody
That's
can
right.
do and be what they want to be, right? So I can be the fashionable farmer or I can be the not fashionable farmer, whatever I choose on that day. It's okay. I can be involved in whatever I want to. You don't have to be this one certain way. Just because I farm doesn't mean that I have to be dirty all the time or in a farm hat or with a piece of straw sticking out. I think people think that you have to be this way of what society tells you have to be. Just like, oh my gosh, Ashlynn was in corporate for 18 years. How dare her go and change her path now over into farming? Well, guess what? You can do it. I've done it and you can do it too. And I hope that you do whatever's on your heart and calling you to be whatever you want to be. Go for it.
Well, Ashlyn, thank you so much. I really greatly appreciate you being on the show. It is so wonderful to hear about women chasing their dreams and being authentically themselves. And I agree with Ashlyn. Be you, be authentically you. For anybody that's watching right now, like this episode, it gives us a great opportunity to be able to see what kind of material that we need to put out and subscribe to the channel. We have new things coming throughout the next months, weeks, years ahead, and we want to make sure that you get a chance to be able to hear all the things that these amazing guests have to say. With all of that being said, Ashlyn, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
this has been Diary of a Queen.